Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 28.
I feel like after last week, this needs to be the Jonathan Taylor episode.
Especially if you got him in a dynasty league, brother. Man, is that stock high.
I can imagine. Also, Atlanta-based, work done.
Yep.
Really good Falcon for quite a while. Florida State.
FSU. You went to Florida State?
He did, unfortunately.
Caleb must have been really wanting to go back to Florida back in the day,
Yeah, I was in on the recruiting rankings, dude. I bought the magazines and everything. I was trying to make sure this guy was talking shop.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, welcome to another episode of the Deep Shot Podcast. We have got previews and picks for week 12 of the college football season and week 11 of the NFL. We are in mid-November. I mean, it is getting down to, if it's not nut crunch in November, I don't know what it is. Teams are going to be eliminated this week. Teams may be locking in playoff spots as early as this week in college. The NFL, division races are getting as tight as ever, and we're going to break all of it down here. We're going to talk about the playoff rankings, our reaction to that here in just a second. There's some drama going down in Baton Rouge. There's an NFL head coach that was fired. There's a lot of things to talk about. Before we get into all of that, just want to, again, ask that you please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We've been having a great season so far. I want to keep it going. Make sure you're following on Instagram and TikTok as well. And if you got anything you want to hear on the pod, just let us know. Will you send us a DM? I'll probably put out another poll question on Sunday for any fan questions that you guys want to hear. And another reminder, the Deep Shot Sports Helping Pause event at Mutation Brewery on November 22nd. That is 10 days from the night we are recording this right now. So it is as close as ever. We have got shirts, we have got stickers and koozies and much more to give out to you if you come and donate. We are trying to get to 1,000 pounds of food at least. You're going to get free 3 tickets for anything you donate. So just make sure to show up and show out. It's an all-day event. We've got some great college football games that we'll obviously talk about next week. I'm really excited. Really would appreciate anybody and everybody's support going forward there. So all 3 of us will be there. So it's going to be a great event. Make sure you guys come out and support us, but also a better cause for the dogs and cats of Atlanta. All right, let's get into it. Before we get into breaking down the games, we need to talk about the playoff rankings that came out. I did a reaction video yesterday. The top 5 stays the same. And I love the joke that's basically like if you have a shade of red, you're in the top 5 right now. Now, the big one was the 6-7 rankings. The Texas Tech jumped Ole Miss on last night's rankings, which was interesting to say the least, I guess. Maybe it sets it up where maybe Texas Tech can be jumping other teams depending on how it goes. I don't know. That's just, if they've already jumped one SEC team, who knows, they may jump another. BYU, the team they beat, fell back to 12, so they're kind of still in the thick of it. I think a big thing for me last night was Miami moved up to 15, and I know last week the big discussion was, Notre Dame being that ahead of Miami. Well, Louisville, who beat Miami and lost last week, is now 5 spots behind Miami. Didn't hear as much griping about that one. I heard this one guy who was really big on it last week about how Miami should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. And he said that he wasn't as upset that Louisville was behind because Miami has a top 10 win. And I'm going, okay, well, they have a top 10 win against a team that you said should not be ranked top 10. So how does that work? Anyway, South Florida's now the group of 5 team. What do you guys think about the rankings last night?
Kind of. We basically had, 11 right, in our rankings. The rankings are a little bit different. So I feel like the first 11 that we have in there was kind of what you would predict. So the only one that we got wrong in terms of teams is South Florida. They were actually able to get ranked USF's at least. So this week, we're actually going to have a group of 5 team in the playoff that is ranked versus what we had last week. So, kind of what I was expecting. The Texas Tech jumping Ole Miss was a little odd, but Texas Tech did just have a very impressive performance beating BYU. Looks like they're going to be able to, unless they slip up, they're going to be able to run away with the Big 12 and probably wind up, getting to 12-1 again to the playoffs. So I don't necessarily hate it. I don't hate that thing. We've talked about it before, but the disrespect of Georgia Tech is insane to me. It's number 16 in the country at 8-1.
It's also interesting because, like you mentioned with our playoffs, so technically right now, because they showed the bracket, the highest ranked ACC team is Miami. So technically they would get in, even though they really don't have a chance of winning the ACC. So, really it's kind of Georgia Tech or Louisville or Virginia right now. But for the sake of what they had to put on the bracket last night, they had Miami as the 11th seed. I mean, which was just wild considering, they're not probably going to win the ACC. Caleb, do you think that team has a chance to backdoor their way in?
Miami? I mean, I think this is going to be really hard for them to do. I mean, if the rest of the conference continues to lose at the rate that they've been doing the last 2 weeks, there might be a chance where they could backdoor into the college football playoff as a conference champ. Now, I don't know about still, like, they feel like Georgia Tech's been discounted. I don't know if you guys heard, I watched rankings last night where there was something said about how Georgia Tech, like, the committee thinks that they lost the game to Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I heard
how
that.
can you go in revisionist history? Because I don't know. I've watched football this year. Like, did Auburn beat Oklahoma? I mean, is that what we're going to sit here and say? So then Oklahoma should be out?
I think it's really interesting the way this guy, I forget his name, but the chair board man, whatever the fuck he is, the guy who talks on TV on to Reese Davis. And they'll ask him about him. He's like, well, what really separates them is, their quarterback and their offense looks really good. And I'm like, no, what does that have to do with like the wins? Like, it seems like every year they come up with something else to discredit, like when they're trying to compare teams. Well, their defense is better than this team's defense, but are they better? Makes sense.
Here's the thing. I don't think any of those guys that wear suits to vote on this shit need to go by their eye test. If anything, they need to get ex-coaches in the room and just let their eye test talk. Nobody else's. I don't want to hear about athletic directors, what he thinks. This guy was an MBA major, right? He was a business major, MBA guy right after school, and then goes in sports administration route. He doesn't know he has a clue what good athletics looks like, but tell him to tell me a difference who's better between Indiana and A&M. I think he would just sit there and fumble over his words the entire time.
That's
same thing with like
every board.
How good do you think Michigan is? I don't think they could quantify how good Michigan really is. I think they're voting on the brand.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, obviously, and I think like just what you said about they're stumbling over their words. I feel like every year these people that come on there and talk, like they just have no clue what they're actually supposed to say. Like Davis definitely does not tell them what he's going to ask them before he asks them that, because they always seem unprepared.
It's like comparing Notre Dame and Miami. Like, why is Notre Dame ranked so much higher than Miami? I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the fact, but that is another question that I would love for those people to answer, because they played head to head. They have the same amount of losses. Notre Dame doesn't have any top 10 wins. Miami does. So, like, what exactly does get Notre Dame ranked higher? That game happened in September is the
only. If you ask them, they'll just say, well, they got really good players and they got the good running back. Like, so
does fucking everybody on the top 20.
You watched it last night, Caleb. I mean, is that not how it sounded? Like, they basically were just like, well, this guy, they have a really good quarterback and a really good defense. So we think that gives them the edge.
It sounded like they were coached up PR-wise to just try and buzzword their way around everything. Like, they were not actually telling us what they thought. Because, like, okay, do you think BYU is actually better than Utah, or are you just saying that? Do you think Vanderbilt couldn't beat either BYU or Utah, or are you just saying that? Do you really think Georgia Tech at one loss with an AC opponent technically has 2 losses because of an officiating issue? Because if that's the can of worms you want to open up, I think everybody's undefeated and everybody's lost every game if you're going to talk about referees in college football. That's bullshit.
Yeah, agreed. Did you guys hear about the scenario they were talking about also, like, with the ACC and how, like, wide open it is? Like, technically Duke could win the ACC, and they already have 4 losses, but only 1 in conference. So technically, if Duke won out, I think they would go to the ACC championship or something. They'd be 9-4, and people were saying that if South Florida and James Madison were to win out and get ranked, technically the ACC champion could get left out of the playoff. Did you guys hear that theory?
I did hear that.
I did not.
I did hear that. I've been trying to wrap my head around that since this morning. And I had a conversation with somebody at work too. And what I told him was like, okay, well, Duke's got to lose. That's what it sounds like. But I kind of, as a sicko, want Duke to win out just so they can break the whole way the game's set up. I think that would be pretty cool.
I have also a hard time believing that the committee would rank like an 11-1 James Madison, 12-1 James Madison over a 9-4 Duke. Like, I don't know if they would really do that when push came to shove.
I think it's really going to be boiled down to, like, who do they play in the conference championship game and how convincingly do they beat them? Because if they beat Miami in the conference championship game, then Duke's got a conversation. But if Duke, let's say they beat Georgia Tech by like a point, in triple overtime, or the 2-point conversion in the fourth overtime. I don't want either of them in the playoff personally at that point. Like, I just don't want to see it. And I think also too, we just got to be honest about how the SMU situation went last year and how these guys are going to think they could bump people out. They could.
That'll be an interesting
Just say
one
to hell with it.
I don't know.
So I just don't understand. So they're saying that even if Duke wins the ACC, they might not get in.
They're saying
All right,
that.
so the rule is,
Yeah.
the rule is that the 4 highest
No, the five.
FBS conference champs
No,
get an
it's-
automatic.
So
It's
the
not
Or the
how-
5.
It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So it does not specify like Power 4 automatically all get one. Like it just says the 5 highest conference champions. So they're saying South Florida, who is ranked, wins out, right? And they win the AAC. And then James Madison goes 12-1, wins the Sun Belt. Duke is 9-4, wins the ACC because they already have 4 losses. And so they're saying that James Madison could technically get ranked higher than Duke, and then ACC champs left out altogether.
And then we have JMU and South Florida in the playoff, but not the ACC champion. That will never happen. That is not.
Well, I think
would
if they
be
were to do that,
insane.
though, Jake, they would get an at-large team in somewhere. Like, that is just the assumption.
You would
Oh,
actually
man,
say
that would
Miami
be
would have to
great.
backdoor their way in there somehow. Interesting though.
Well-
That would be a lot of things would have to happen, but that is something they were talking about. Okay, let's talk about the fiasco in Baton Rouge real quick. So Brian Kelly, apparently LSU, who has just been going down a rabbit hole of problems the last couple weeks, if you've been paying attention at all. So apparently they've been trying to settle with Brian Kelly on his contract. They supposed to owe him $56 million, and they tried to pay him basically one lump sum of 27 or 30 million. I can't remember the exact number. And he's saying no, which, to be fair, I would say no too. You just embarrassed me and fired me. And I would rather have 54 million than 30. But Caleb, I mean, you've probably got some more intel on this. What's really going on here?
LSU's trying to get out of paying their coach money, and what they're doing is they're tanking their own chances of getting a really good college football coach. And lest we forget, and I tried to talk to you guys, we had a flaming conversation on here, or fiery, I should say, a couple weeks ago about how you guys thought the LSU job was just far and away better than the Florida job. And I said, okay, well, they're going to turn this into a dumpster fire. When the governor fires head coach, the job's not as good as what you think. And now anybody, anywhere that could be interested in that job is sitting there looking at it and say, oh, well, if I don't hire the right people my first year, if I lose a couple games and I get fired, not only are they not going to say, well, you didn't even really, like, you don't deserve this money. They're going to try and say, okay, well, maybe you've messed around with this janitor down the hall right here. Right? Or something, just to find their way to get around paying them money. They're insane to try and fight this. And I don't understand who's actually running the place, who's pulling the strings to make that happen. But essentially, it sounds like the governor doesn't want anybody to, taxpayer-wise, pay the bill. And then the boosters tried to pull the money together and ran out of it. So big mess in Baton Rouge. And I mean, does it get fixed? Is there a solution? Here's what you need to know. What you need to know is that Florida's already vetted their top 4, and they're sitting there waiting. In fact, there was a Florida private jet in Atlanta, Georgia, yesterday. Who do you think they were talking to? And he's one of the 4 on the list I've said on here before. Okay, so Auburn's already got their guys canvassed. I heard something today that Arkansas is about done. They're like almost settled in on the person that they want on their coaching job. So LSU, yes, it may be the most attractive girl out there, but it's just like a 35-year-old 10, man. Well, you got to wonder what's happened before now, and why are they still sitting here?
Dude, what is
That's
that?
very true. That's very true, because I will say this. Did y'all know that Kay Adams is 39?
Dude, did you know that Theo Vaughn is 45? I saw that the other day. Sorry, that was
Dude, what are
just
these folks
random.
doing, dude?
I did not know
What are
Kay
they-
Adams was 39.
But Kay Adams is 39, and I saw a thing today, and it was like Kay Adams on an interview, like what I'm looking for in a boyfriend. And one of the first responses was, "Hey, girl, you're 39 years old. Like, why are you on podcasts talking about this?" I was like, that really kind of made me look at it a little bit differently, because you're 39 years old. You're like a millionaire. You're like smoking hot, and you don't have anything going for you. It's a little interesting.
Something ain't right. But to just get back to college football here,
We can talk about Kay for a little bit longer.
Kevin Durant's talked about her enough in his career. I
Yes.
think we've seen those clips. But Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a situation where an organization just flat out told somebody like a week after they terminated them that, oh, we didn't actually terminate you. We're firing you for cause. Just out of nowhere. And so now they're sending this to the lawyers and trying to think that, well, he'll just give in. He'll just take his 30 million and ride out. Ain't nobody gonna take 30 mil when they're owed 55, dog. There's nobody on planet Earth that's gonna do that. Nobody. And I'm telling you, it's gonna shoo away the best of the best. Like Marcus Freeman may have thought about the LSU job for a second after this last week. Done. And do you think for a second Lane Kiffin, who gets bothered by nobody at Ole Miss, is going to take the LSU job now?
It's a good
Come
point,
on, man.
It's a very good point.
I will say, you mentioned that the Florida Gator plane was in Atlanta. Did you also see that Billy Napier was apparently spotted at Georgia practice this week?
This guy's got the recipe for success to beat the Longhorns. That's why he's there.
Hey, I'll take what I get. Who's Arkansas going to hire? You getting any sources?
Word on the street is James Franklin's going to take that job.
Really?
Yeah, it's like almost all but done. Because backstory, Brent Pry was the last head coach of Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech was after James Franklin. Brent Pry and James Franklin are really close. And I'm pretty sure Pry worked for him at Penn State at one point or another. So he's pretty much like, F you guys, I'm not working for you because you fired my boy. And so he's left with the biggest fish in the pond that's pretty much left outside LSU in Florida. So don't put that on an official letterhead or anything like that. I'm just telling you what the rumblings are.
All right. Okay. First reported on Deep Shot Podcast. Okay, let's talk about some games this weekend, though. Some big ones in the SEC. Texas going to Georgia. Georgia is -5.5 over, or 6.5. Sorry. May have moved to 5.5. It's 5.5 or 6.5. Over under 48.5. First time ever that Texas is playing in Athens. They've never played. These teams have played 7 times, never once in Athens. I think personally, these teams, I think I've said this on the podcast, but Texas kind of reminds me of Georgia, just the way they've been scraping by all year, other than losing to Florida. But they're winning games in a lot of lucky ways, overtimes. Texas defense, unlike Georgia, has kind of been the strong suit because we all know Arch in the offense is pretty limited from week to week. They, obviously last time we saw them against Vandy, they looked good, and now they're coming off a bye week, so they may have some time to prep. Both teams love the screen game. Gunnar Stockton and Arch Manning have the most passes behind the line of scrimmage in the SEC. Makes total sense as a Georgia fan. Weapons on the outside are going to be key. Zachariah Branch, Trey Wingo for Texas, who's listed as questionable. Or is it not Trey Wingo? Sorry, that's the guy that worked for ESPN. Ryan Wingo for Texas. He's listed as questionable at this time, so that'll be interesting going forward. But can the Georgia offense carry this game against the Texas defense? Texas is second in rushing defense in the country. Georgia's offensive line has had some really good continuity going the last couple of weeks. So we'll see if that can keep going forward. The spread seems to be pretty big for this matchup to me. 6.5. I'm not exactly sure Georgia's going to be able to cover that. I think it'll be a real tight game. What do you guys think?
I think it'll be a tight game, but I do think that you have to favor the dogs in this one. I mean, even looking like everyone is all up in arms about the run that Texas is on, right? 4 straight wins. That's awesome. Well, they played Oklahoma with a one-armed John Mateer, who was a week and a half, post-surgery. Then they go on the road to Kentucky. They win that game in overtime. They go on the road to Mississippi State. They win that game in overtime. Don't forget, they were down like 30 points in that game. And credit to them for rallying and coming off with a win. It is what it is. And then their win against Vanderbilt was impressive for 3 quarters, but they dang near almost let Vanderbilt come all the way back in this game. And on the flip side, we're seeing Georgia play the best football they've played. The Florida game was a little hairy at times, but rewind it to the Ole Miss game, that was a very impressive win. And then last week against Mississippi State, was the most complete game that we've seen the University of Georgia play probably in the last 2 years. So I feel great about this one. I mean, how can we forget about the torture chamber that we had Arch Manning in last year in Austin? Do we still have those guys off the edge? No, but I still think we'll have enough to do it. And I think I would take Georgia, by a touchdown. I see it at 5.5, at least on ESPN right now. Looking at, I see it at 5.5 right now. I like it even more. So you get that extra point, but I feel like Georgia should be able to come away with this win. My biggest question for this game is, this is the first night game that we've had in Athens since the Bama game. Will they still be doing that noise on second down? That's my biggest question. I sure hope so.
I hope not, dude. I mean, I'm not going to be there, I guess. So it's
I was
whatever.
about to say, are you going to go and do your own research to see if this is still occurring? I mean, they probably need to throw it away after what happened last time because every time it played, they did something good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Alabama got like every first down every time they did that.
This is a very interesting game script to me just because Georgia has kind of prided themselves here lately on doing one thing, and that's running the damn football. In fact, I think it's been something that Kirby himself has kind of like said that we're going to get this shit fixed after last year because y'all were atrocious at doing it last year and just let Carson Beck throw it around the yard. However, there is a run defense that can travel, by the way, because defenses do travel. Run defense coming into Athens that is second best in the country. Now, numbers are just numbers. They ain't played on grass. They never snap a football. They never fumble. They never carry the rock. Okay, so I'm just telling you what the sources are telling me, and that's the statistics that we've been given over every game this year. I really just think it's an Arch Manning versus Gunnar Stockton game. That's probably a pretty common take, I feel like, but I don't know how else to describe it to you. I think both teams you're looking at two of probably the five best talented teams in the country. I mean, you're looking at two, say what you want to, play callers on both offensive and defensive side that are at elite levels. We're in Kwiatkowski on defense for Texas, and we know runs the defense for Georgia. And then on the flip side, Sark's calling plays for Texas, and Bobo's been really good this year. Just want to let people know, like, everybody wants to dunk on him and say, fire Bobo. He's been awesome. Okay. So, going to be interesting to see whose athletes end up winning this game because, like, Zachariah Branch is going to get his screen game going. We know that's going to happen. I'm just really interested to see if Georgia is able to run the ball. But I will say, if we look up at halftime and Georgia's got like 55 rush yards, I would be worried. I would be a little worried because you can say whatever you want to. Arch Manning has played up for a long time, and maybe he's finally just trying to get his wheels up under him, and now they're starting to spin, and he's playing at a decent level. I assume he's not going to regress because, I mean, people that have been able to throw the ball have had some decent success against Georgia this year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole game just can the Georgia offense outmatch the strength of Texas, which is a defense. I'm really interested to see how Arch and the whole screen game and everything goes for this matchup. If Arch Manning starts completing balls downfield, then I'll get a little worried because we still don't have a pass rush. But apparently Texas offensive line has been like a little bit of a, not something great, but when you have a weakness on a weakness, who really knows what's going to happen. Okay, let's talk about the game in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma going to Alabama. Alabama minus 5.5, over under at 45.5. Both teams in this game have top 20 defenses in the country, and both teams cannot run the ball. Some of the worst in the SEC at doing it. So this seems like a big time quarterback matchup between Mateer and Simpson. Simpson coming off a game against LSU. If you didn't watch it, he was missing a lot of throws, not by a lot, but he was missing some throws against LSU. Mateer obviously has not been the same since the injury. Is he going to be explosive with the legs to help out the running game that Oklahoma doesn't really have? Last time we saw him against Tennessee, they had a little bit of it, so we'll see if that can go. But Tennessee's defense and Alabama's defense are not really comparable. Oklahoma's secondary has looked shaky against Ole Miss and against Tennessee. They got a little lucky with some Joey Aguilar throws in that game, if you ask me. So is Ty Simpson, Ryan Williams, and Bernard, they're all going to have a field day? Or can the Oklahoma defensive line cause some uncomfortable situations for Ty Simpson? I feel like we've seen a lot of, situations this year where Ty Simpson has gotten some pressure on him, made some bad decisions, or maybe they've gotten to him and caused some fumbles. LSU and South Carolina a couple weeks ago, they had some pressure on him, made him do some bad things. Can Oklahoma do that? I feel like Alabama, because of the way they've been slipping a little bit, they haven't played their best football the last couple weeks. I feel like they're due for a really big, breakout game. But Oklahoma's got their backs against the line here, or backs against the wall here. So what do you guys think?
It's a good way to put it. I think this is the most interesting matchup of the week, in my opinion, just because I feel like we still don't know what this Oklahoma team is. Is it the team about a month ago they got blown out by Texas? They beat South Carolina good the next week, but then the last 2 weeks they lose to Ole Miss, and then they're in a rock fight against Tennessee, and they barely able to get out of there. And like you said right there, Garrison, they benefited by Joey Aguilar making uncharacteristic mistakes in that game. They probably should have lost that one too. But then on the flip side, it's easy to say that Bama is, since week one, they're the best team in the country, yada, yada, yada. Well, they just played the LSU team last week that doesn't have a head coach. They barely have a quarterback. They don't really have any weapons. Their defense is shaky. And they won that game by 11 points. And it was at never at any point that it seemed like that game was out of reach for LSU. And the same could be said about the week prior to South Carolina. So I'm not really sure what I see happening in this one. What are we going to see out of John Mateer if he's going to continue to progress? Because he's looked better than he did against Texas. We'll say that he's been getting better since the Texas game. I would lean Alabama in this one. I just feel like they're the more complete team. This is, I don't want to say this is a who's who because I feel like if Bama loses, they're fine. They just need to make sure they get the 10-2. They will find their way into the playoff. But if Oklahoma loses this, you can write them off, and hopefully, Brent Venables is able to reload and get back next year. But it's just going to be an interesting matchup. See how Ty Simpson responds and go from there. But I'm leaning Bama. This should be a really good game.
I'll be honest. I don't think this game is going to be as close to what people think it is. I really don't. I think Bama, at some point or another, is going to just have one of those drop their nuts kind of games because they really haven't done it since they left Athens. They kind of need to get the moxie going. They got a home game. It's in Tuscaloosa. And look, OU's defense is really good. Don't get me wrong. I think they're really good up front. I think they're going to get after Ty Simpson a little bit more than what he's been feeling recently. Even though LSU did give him fits last week. But like you guys said, he just missed a couple throws here and there, just a little off on all the stuff. I think John Mateer's been real off on a lot of things since he broke that finger. And I personally just don't see him just absolutely just going above and beyond what we've seen his level play be the last couple of weeks. Because, it's gotten better. It has gotten better. As Jake said, it's gotten better as the season's kind of gone on since he got hurt. I don't know. I don't see him going into Tuscaloosa and stealing one from Bama. I really don't. And I don't see Ty Simpson having a down game. I'm not talking about an average game because he played an average game last week. I'm talking about a down game. It is below what you would expect him to perform. So, Bama, to me, everything is in their hands right here. The cards, they have aces in the pocket. They got a home game. It's on national TV. They are probably as hot as anybody else in the country. You can say what you want to about OU's defense, but, nobody's talking about how Bama's defense will be able to play against John Mateer and, in fact, pass rusher, affect that part of the game, right? Injuries, say what you want to. He's going to think twice about throwing a couple of those footballs with that thumb being jacked up still, especially with those kind of guys. He ain't seen that level of talent coming at him all year.
Agreed. I think I'm with you, Caleb. I really think Bama should win this game by double digits. I think it's just interesting spread for 5.5 with Bama at home. So you're telling me on a neutral field, this is less than a 3-point spread. Those are
no way.
But that's also, these Vegas people also told us Oklahoma was going to beat Ole Miss by a touchdown. So maybe there's just some things they know about Oklahoma or they think they know about Oklahoma. We'll see. Okay, a couple other games. Iowa is playing at USC on Saturday. Top 5 offense against the top 5 defense. Iowa coming off that tough loss to Oregon. Got to go to the West Coast. But let me just say one thing about this game. The temperatures in Southern California, we're looking at rain during this game. So this could be an Iowa type of football game, just like they had last week. And is USC built like Oregon to go through that? What do you think?
I tend to think not. I think it was funny. We were talking about in the group message and the group message the other day, is Lincoln Riley, what is he even going to do? Is he even locked in at USC anymore? Is he already starting to look for another job? So I would like to see Iowa get it done. And I don't think it's crazy to say that I think that they might. We'll see how it is, and especially if it's raining and if it's cooler in Southern Cal. So maybe they could do a little self-inflicted safety at the beginning of the game to try and throw another team into an Iowa Classic game. So we'll see.
Kyle Lemon's that dude. That's what I'll tell you. But Kyle Lemon's for real. He's a receiver for them, and he is badass.
I know you're talking about. Break London out there.
Yeah, he ain't one-handed in the corner of the end zone on 4th down against the New England Patriots. Though. Not yet. I think this is gonna be a scary spot for USC, seriously, and it's the same thing everybody else talked about already on here, which is Iowa's going to drag you into an Iowa game because shockingly they get an Iowa level conditions on the West Coast. I don't know when the last time it rained in Southern Cal like that. In fact, I don't ever really remember seeing now off the top of my head like a USC rain game at home. Those are probably anomalies. So, and it's weird that we're talking about weather to just keep yourself in the game. I really still think that USC, though, can run the ball. Like, they've proven it against good teams already this year, whether they can do it against Iowa. And we also got to see how Iowa takes last week getting their, say what you want to, ass kick right there at the end of the game. Kind of like took the breath away from the program a little bit. Now, understand Kirk Ferentz going to get that thing back on track, but losing in that fashion at home, and when it just seems like it is your game at the very end, that's a tough thing to overcome. It don't matter who you are, how you're mentally made up. So if they play like Iowa should play, yeah, it's going to be a little bit closer and scrappier than what USC fans want it to be.
And USC a 6.5-point favorite in that game, over under at 49.5. Notre Dame going to Pitt. This is where game day is going to be. I just want to talk about this real quick because Pitt's coach, Pat Narduzzi, literally said this week that this is not a must-win game. He said that out loud.
I saw that. So weird. Why are you saying that? So I'll tell you this. When I first saw that clip, I could have sworn it was the basketball clip. I really thought he was the basketball coach and they were playing in basketball. And there was a part of me, I was like, okay. It's like, what, the 4th game of the season for basketball? And then I was reading the comments. I was like, wait, hold on. He's talking about the football game on Saturday. What are we talking about? It's mid-November, and he's saying that you're sitting at 7-2. It's not a must-win. Crazy thing to say, and a crazy message to get relayed to your team.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. We don't need to win. We don't need to win. He literally said he would happily lose like 100-0 if he could win the next 2 games.
Can't fathom it. I just like, that's a bad question to ask the head coach to me from the jump, but then also to be like, no way. Are you crazy? You kidding me? This loop, like, you can't act like that, dude. Your response should be like, we need to win every single one of these things. What else are you telling your team? So now your damn backup defensive lineman who's thinking about maybe I should go catch some lemon drops on Thursday night instead of going to practice and watch some tape. What's he going to do? Coach don't think this thing is must have. I can sneak out for couple 30 minutes. We know what 30 minutes turns into.
Yeah. One is 2 minutes. What is it? One is
one too many, but one more is never enough.
Amen. Notre Dame is a 12.5-point favorite in that game, over under at 55.5. Pittsburgh has the 3rd-ranked rush defense in the country going against Jeremiah Love. So we'll see. Also, Pitt's quarterback, Mason Heinschel.
Tough one.
He came in about mid-season, and he's a true freshman, been playing pretty well. So this could be a fun quarterback matchup as well. But if your coach doesn't really care, not really sure. And Notre Dame, it is a must-win for Notre Dame. And I'm sure Marcus Freeman has expressed that to his team. Okay, besides those games, one other game you're looking out for, Caleb?
The team that kind of got dropped off the rankings a little bit last week, but they're hanging on by a thread. They got their still finger on the railing. The BYU Cougars, still 8-1, by the way. Their season's not dead, not completely in the water just yet. They are playing at 10:15, so if you're up late on Saturday night like I plan on being, you'll probably be watching this game. And they're taking on the TCU Horned Frogs at home. Okay, now this is a team, this game script, I talk about game script, it's like the 3rd time I've said this episode. If BYU can run the football like TCU lets people all year long, TCU's not going to be able to throw the ball nearly as much as they can or would like to, and I expect them to take care of business. But we've seen a couple instances this year already where teams have came in high and mighty and lose a game when they're expecting a big win. And what does it do to the team? It tanks the team. So we're going to see if BYU falls off a cliff this week or not. I find that to be interesting this week.
Jake, what about you?
I'm looking at the Virginia Cavaliers and the Duke Blue Devils this weekend. Really interesting matchup, but also a really interesting line. Right now, Virginia at 8-2 is 4.5 dogs in this one, going against the 5-4 Duke Blue Devils, which may or may not be one of my picks later. So just, pick that little seed right there. But I just feel like this is a Virginia win. Like, Duke is picking up these wins that are like nice, but this team lost to UConn last week. This is not a good football team. This is not a great football team. And what we're seeing out of Virginia, Did they lose to Wake Forest last week? Sure. Yeah. But this is not a terrible Virginia team. This is a team that has shown that they have the ability to play up the talent and be able to get tough wins. Look at that game where they went to Louisville and were able to win. Look at, I guess they don't really have a lot of great wins either. We are talking about ACC football, though. So let's keep that in mind. I feel like Vegas got this number wrong. I have a hard time understanding why Virginia is the dog in this one. But this is a big game because if Duke drops this one, then you can kind of that whole, fan fiction that we were playing with at the beginning, where it's like, oh, maybe Duke gets, wins the ACC, doesn't make the college football playoff. If they lose, we can write that off. They're not going to do it, with 2 ACC losses. But if Virginia wins this game, it further cements their case of maybe being in the driver's seat to potentially get to the ACC championship game, potentially win it, potentially get in the playoff. So just a lot to look for in Durham.
Okay, and I just want to look for the Florida Ole Miss game. I mean, Lane Kiffin against the so-called next team he might be coaching for. Games in Ole Miss. Ole Miss is, they can have the playoff in their grasp. They just got to beat Florida and Mississippi State. Can they do it against a Florida team who just got worked by Kentucky? But Florida playing with nothing to lose. Can Florida get a win? It's just interesting, the whole Lane Kiffin versus Florida. I feel like there would be a lot of questions post game. Should be interesting. And also want to shout out my Kennesaw State Owls. Again, playing at Jacksonville State this week. 7-2, big one in the CUSA. All right, we're looking to lock up a spot in the CUSA championship game, which who knows, dude? I don't know. I think it's the Conference USA championship. I wonder if that's on a Friday.
Where's that one hosted?
I think it's just whoever's got the best record.
Saying there could be a Conference USA championship in Kennesaw, Georgia.
And I might be there depending on what the day of the week it is. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find out. Let me see. Let me look. Let me go to conference championship weekend. But yeah, it's on Friday. It's on Friday at 7:00. So there might be some content out there. Okay. Let's move over to the NFL real quick before we talk about some games. Brian Daboll out as the head coach for the Giants. What do we think?
It had to happen. It's unfortunate. I think him and Jackson, getting broken up with. I think they had a little bit of a bromance going on. So that's sad to see that split up. But it had to happen. I mean, this has been multiple years of Brian Daboll just not being what we thought Daboll was going to be when he came from the Bills. And looking back on it now, it's probably because that dude had Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and a lot of other, really guys, key pieces that can make a guy look really good. But regardless, I think the Giants just had to do it. I don't know if y'all saw the picture of him walking out of his house. I think it was today or yesterday, sporting a Penn State hoodie. Maybe he's going back to Happy Valley. Who knows?
He was the OC for Bama for a little bit, and I think they won a championship when he was there.
Go look at the run of OCs Bama had. Whenever you just get a chance, they went Kiffin, Sark, Daboll in a 3-year run.
Yeah, that's some good ones. And Daboll, I think maybe the Daniel Jones going off thing right now, and then just the way they've been losing the games and everything.
It's unfortunate too, dude. They've had such bad injury luck, and they've had 3 games this year. The Denver game should have won. They played. There's 2 other games.
The Bears game they just played, they should have won.
Yeah, that one came down to the very end, and there's a very high chance at one point or another in that game they were going to win them. I mean, it's just been brutal. Brian Daboll, I was reminding him getting fired that he was a coach of the year his first year in the league,
2019. Yeah.
Now, I knew that he was what he did with Josh Allen and stuff like that, but coach of the year for going 8-7-1, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, he won a playoff game, beat the Vikings.
Yeah, and it was legitimately all downhill from there.
Yeah,
that was really it.
Okay, and then real quick, Travis Hunter out for the year for the Jags. Jake, any thoughts there?
What happened?
It's weird. It's really weird. It happened in practice. It was a non-contact knee injury, which is never a good sign. That is never a good thing to hear. But then, at the end of the week last week, because he got put on the IR and everyone kind of speculated, okay, this is probably he's out for the season. And then a few days later, they say it's only going to be a couple weeks. And once he gets cleared from the IR, he'll be back. This was Monday. They were saying this. And then yesterday he decides to get surgery, I guess. I can't really, fault the guy for that. Get your surgery, get back healthy, and just be ready to go week 1. But I do think the biggest part of this is we have all 3 stated our concerns on Travis Hunter being able to play 130 snaps a week, every single week for a 17-game schedule and then the postseason. You can't do that. You just can't do it. They're going to have some tough conversations this offseason to decide where they want to put him. But I will say what is going to make that tough is I feel like when the Jags traded up for him, gave away decent capital for it, their whole idea was this guy was going to be playing both sides. And now he played 8 games in his career, and we're already going to have to scrap that idea. So I don't know if they're going to be as inclined to do it. I know Travis Hunter as a competitor is still going to want to play both sides. So I don't know if it's going to completely go out the wayside, but it's something to look at. It's unfortunate because the Jags need weapons right now. And we finally saw Travis have his coming out party in London against the Rams. We got the boat race in that game, but he still had his first receiving touchdown, had 8 catches or something in that game, had a really good performance there. We saw him play good snaps at defensive back down the stretch. So it's really unfortunate timing. We'll just have to see where he goes from here. But it's tough. It's tough. Not many good things going the right way for the Jags right now.
Yeah, I think that I saw a video of Liam Cohen throwing his headset off, in disgust.
He was pissed on Sunday when that game lost. And I think part of it, you can say he's upset at Trevor Lawrence because he's playing really bad. But I mean, he also lost the fourth quarter 26-0. He's probably a little pissed at the defense as well. But yeah, the Jags benefited so much on turnovers, turnover luck in the first few weeks of the season. Them getting to that I think we're 3-1, 4-1 to start the season, something like that. And the turnovers just haven't been coming like they were, which is we said it. You can't base a game plan on getting a 98-yard pick six on Patrick Mahomes. You can't. If it happens, great. But the turnovers aren't happening like they were. Trevor's making bad reads. Trevor's not playing great. And, just like that.
I think the whole question of him playing both sides is toast now. That he's had a non-contact, in his first rookie year. There's no chance they go back into that level of thinking. No, I don't see. When is he ever going to be health-wise or rep-wise, how much they want to use him in-game to a point that they're talking about, like you said, 110 snaps in a game?
Yeah, no chance. Okay, let's talk about some games real quick before we get into our picks. Falcons are playing the Panthers this week at home. Falcons are -3.5, over under 42.5 against a team that beat us 30-0 last time we played them. Jake, just walk me through it.
I'll walk you through. I'm going to walk you through this game, but I'm also going to walk you through how the rest of the season is going to get for the Atlanta Falcons. Can I do that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Ulbrich said today was the best practice in meeting and walkthroughs that he's ever had in Atlanta. This team's going to go 8-9. Telling you, this team's going to go 8-9. We're barely going to miss the playoffs. Arthur Blank's going to say, hey, this team finished the season strong. We should bring Raheem Morris back one more year. Keep Terry and run it back next year. And then we're going to be at this point next year, and Raheem Morris is going to get fired. I can almost guarantee you that's going to happen. Is that not what happens every single time?
That's what I said weeks ago. I said that's exactly what's going to happen.
He did say that.
So we'll win. We will win on Sunday. We'll beat the Panthers. We'll probably beat the Saints next week in New Orleans. Then we go to the New York Jets. We'll probably win that game. And then we got the Seahawks. We're not winning that one. Lose to the Bucs. Beat the Cardinals. Lose to the Rams. Beat the Saints. We will be 7-10, 8-9%. 100%, which partially will be good because it's going to make the Rams pick a little bit worse. So it's not really going to hurt as bad. If we see them picking top 5, it's really going to be brutal. But yeah, I think we'll beat the Panthers this week. Something to keep an eye on. So the last 2 head coaches that the Atlanta Falcons had, and they got fired. We had FedEx Boy, and then we had Dan Quinn. Both were fired after a home loss to the Carolina Panthers. If the Falcons lose this week, you have to imagine that they have to consider moving on from Raheem. You have to imagine a 3-7 start with all that they have invested in this team over the last 2 years. You have to imagine it is at least a conversation. It probably already is a conversation. But I don't think it's going to happen because I think we're going to go out there and we're going to play our best game of the season on Sunday, and it's all going to be for naught, and we're not going to make the playoffs. It's just going to suck. So we'll see.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to the Buffalo Bills. Bills are -5.5, over under 48.5. Bills coming off the loss to the Dolphins. Caleb, you mentioned they are behind the Pats big in the division right now, so they got to get a big win. Bucs in danger of losing 2 in a row, and if they do, if the Panthers beat the Falcons, Bucs lose this game, NFC South is interesting. So, Caleb, what do you think about this game?
I think the Bills are set up absolute redemption spot for them to kind of get back their mojo here. You're talking about the Bucs coming up north. They played in like 70-degree weather last week, and they're going to come play in 44 and windy in Orchard Park. That alone with, or going along with the Bills just being a wagon in general, never mind if they're home or away, I think this is time for them to reckon themselves a little bit. So, yeah, maybe some Baker Mayfield heroics in the fourth quarter. The Magic's kind of worn off a little bit for me, especially after seeing the team right here do it for me. Yeah, Buffalo needs to they got some catch up to do. So if they drop this one too, I'll be a big fan of the NFC South the rest of the year.
I mean, I think we can say all this about the Panthers. Like, yes, if they do win, if they do beat Atlanta this week, and then Tampa loses, yeah, they're both 6-4, and there's a whole conversation we have to have. I'm not really concerned about that though. If I'm Tampa Bay, like there's no question that Tampa is a much better team than Carolina, and when they match up, they're going to take care of business and they'll beat the Panthers and they'll win the division. The issue is on the Bills side, because the Bills, I mean, they just lost by 3 touchdowns, 3 scores to the Dolphins. I mean, the Falcons. That's the Falcons. That's stuff the Falcons do. The Bills.
No, that's stuff the Saints do.
This team is just so inconsistent. This Buffalo team is incredibly inconsistent. I don't think they have a consistent offensive game plan. We have seen James Cook be a little underwhelming in spots this year. They don't really have a true number one wide receiver to go to. And that's, I think James, I saw Caleb make a little face right there. I think
he's been great for my fantasy team.
I think James is great. But when you don't have a consistent passing attack to go to, teams can kind of sell out and stop James. So
you know what else is great? His discussion posts.
Yeah. Feral hogs. So I think this is a borderline must win for Buffalo, because New England's not going anywhere. You got to start winning. They got to start winning at the pace that they're really, used to. I mean, they're 2-3 in their last 5 games.
And the Patriots get to play the Jets tomorrow. So, okay. Some other big matchups though. The Seahawks are playing the Rams, 2 elite teams right now. You could argue maybe 2 of the best teams in the NFL. Quarterbacks both playing at MVP levels. Devontae Adams is questionable. Jake said that like he left the last game. Seahawks have not lost on the road this season. Do they lose in LA on Sunday?
Game of the week?
Yeah. Game of the freaking week for sure.
Game of the freaking week. I have no idea how this game's going to go. I mean, I hate to say that, just act like I have no idea ball. This is 2 of the best teams in the NFL. This is probably the 2 best teams in the NFC. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. The pace, Matt Stafford, the last 6 games, 20 touchdowns, 0 picks last 6 games.
Dog.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. He's averaging over 3 touchdown passes a game for the last month and a half. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's the MVP. He's the best. He's playing. I think he is. I think Matt Stafford is the MVP. I think he is. I would vote for straight up. I would vote for Stafford over May. I've been on the Stafford trade since week 1. I mean, you were on the Stafford train before the season. Give yourself a little bit of credit on that. Sam Darnold's still playing good. I don't know where to go in this one. I'll be honest. I'm just excited to be able to sit back and watch, because it's going to be some really high quality football that, unfortunately, we have not seen in the NFL the last few weeks, which has been really disappointing. The Sunday night game was terrible. Like, a lot of the 1:00 games were terrible, and the Falcons suck. It makes it hard to But I do think that this one should be like a return to pace. This is why the NFL is king. Watch these grown men go up against each other and, busting each other's holes, and it's going to be awesome.
Okay. All right.
There's no way that makes the podcast.
It's got to make the fun.
It's got to. Okay. The Chiefs are playing the Broncos. The Broncos are 3.5-point dogs. Over under at 44.5. Broncos have a 2.5 game lead in the division right now over the Chiefs in the AFC West. Chiefs are currently out of the playoff picture. 2 top 5 defenses squaring off. Caleb, what do you think?
I smell a home dog right here. You know what home dogs do?
What do they do, Garrison?
They run faster.
They do.
And this is just an unbelievable spot for this to be going on too, because the Broncos are wagging. They're 8-2 this year. The 2 games that they've lost, I mean, they are this close. They're about 6 seconds of game time away from being 10 right now as an NFL team. You're talking about their 2 losses they've suffered in brutal fashion. So everybody Yes, Mahomes, breaking news, is playing at an MVP level as well. I mean, we're just talking about Matthew Stafford, Drake May. Mahomes is playing at that level at this point this year. He's going to come in there with reckless abandon and try and win this game. However, I mean, how can you bet against the best defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos?
I think the Chiefs win this game. I think the Broncos. You remember when we were still in college? It's been quite a while. I think it might have been 2018, 2019, when the Pittsburgh Steelers started like 10-0.
11
And
they were
Yeah,
fraud.
they were
11
11 and 0, and then they finished like 11-5.
Every single game was the game of the year. They barely were able to pull it out week after week after week after week. And we could just tell that as teams winning games, they have a really good record, but they're not that team. I think this is the Denver Broncos. I think this is Denver Broncos. And this is a team I picked the Broncos to win the AFC West in the preseason. So I would love for them not to be a fraud so we can, look back at my take in September and August and say I was right. A 3-point win against Vegas, a 3-point win against Houston. They were able to beat Dallas pretty good. But then you go back to the Giants game, which was an insane comeback against the New York Giants. They win that game by 1. And the week before that, at home, they beat the New York Jets 13-11. I just don't buy that this team is that good. I think they've benefited from a manageable schedule so far this year and some insane fourth quarter comebacks. That's not sustainable. This Kansas City team, I think they're finally starting to right their boat. Really, since the Jags game, since they lost on Monday Night Football against the Jags, this team has looked completely different. What else has happened since that game? They got Rasheed back, and Rasheed has completely transformed this offense. He's made Patrick Mahomes look like, again, probably the best quarterback in football. So I think this is an opportunity. Like you were talking about home dogs running faster. I don't think it matters in this one. I think this is a game that Kansas City should be able to win.
Okay. Sunday Night Football, last things we'll get into our picks. The Lions against the Eagles. The Eagles are -2.5, over under at 46.5. Eagles coming off that Monday night game against the Packers, which was just abysmal. You see, literally, there was no points scored at half. Lions had an explosion on offense against the Commanders with Donald Trump in attendance. I feel like the wrong team is favored here. I don't know why the Eagles are -2.5. What do you guys think?
They just continue to win games, and they're a home playoff team right here that is going to be, hosting the Detroit Lions, who have been hot on offense here as of recent. But again, they just continue to pull games out no matter how it goes. So, I mean, I definitely would like to see Philly lose this game at home, but, somehow, some way they continue to find other different ways to win a game.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with you there, Garrison. I think the Lions are the better team in this situation, especially how they've been looking over the last few weeks. No shade to the Eagles. They've been winning games. But did y'all see A.J. Brown saying that if you have him in fantasy to drop him?
Yeah.
I mean,
have him in fantasy in one league. And
Caleb also has him in fantasy.
I have a league where I have him and Justin Jefferson as my 1-2, and it's just, I mean, I was so excited about that team. I really was. I was like, finally.
Yeah, my entire dynasty rebuild has just been, getting trades with Caleb. I mean, it's kind of how it is.
What's your record?
First in the division. I got to buy. Right.
People are saying we have a very weak division, by the way.
Well, you know what's funny is Cameron Ramsey has not won a game since he called out the division.
Really?
In 3 since he said that we needed to switch up to no divisions. He was 6-1. Now he's 6-4. And
that's awesome.
I don't think we have to worry about him being cucked from bye. We're going to get into our picks for week 12 and week 11. We're bringing on Sam Rogers. How are we doing?
Doing great. Just watching Monsters, Inc. with my kids.
Let's go. Great flick. Awesome flick.
It is a great choice of a movie. I like Wall-E a little bit better personally, but Monsters, Inc. is a great go-to.
Dude, they don't talk enough in Wall-E. It's too weird.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you on that one. Okay. Well, before we get into it, just to kind of recap some standings here. I am sitting at 27-27, 6-5 on locks, 3-7 on deep shots. My deep shot was the only thing that hit last week. Jake is sitting at 22-32, 6-5 on locks, 3-7 on deep shots. Caleb sitting at 25-29, 5-6 on locks, and 2-8 on deep shots. And the guest pickers are sitting at 27-27, 5-6 on locks, 4-6 on deep shots. Big week last week for Brady. He did go 4-1. Was just under away from being perfect 5-0. So shout out to him. Got his deep shot right as well. Okay, let's get into it. I will start off as always. My favorite this week. We talked about it a little earlier, Pittsburgh coach said it wasn't a must win. Notre Dame, it's a must win. I'm taking Notre Dame minus 12.5 here. I think this is a bit of a, they're trying to maybe Vegas is trying to give you enough points where you take the bait with Pitt. The Pitt's ranked 22nd or whatever. But if a coach comes out and says they don't really need to win and Notre Dame literally has to have style points, I'm just going to go with Notre Dame minus 12.5. It's going to be my lock of the week as well. I don't see a situation where they don't win this game by 2 touchdowns.
I mean, the coach said it. The coach said it.
Said that he literally said they could lose 100-0 and they would be okay.
That is just absurd. 100-0, your season's done. You get fired the next day.
For my favorite this week, I'm going to be going with the team who had a very big win on the road last week. Really big win. They have an opportunity to defend the home turf this week. I'm talking about no other than the Georgia Southern Eagles, able to take down App State last week, 25-23, looked really good, had a little fourth quarter comeback, got a little hairy there, but the Fighting Eagles out of Statesboro, Georgia were able to hold them off. This week they have the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, some sort of gamecock. They're plus 2.5. I think they're minus 2.5. Sorry. They're minus 2.5. I think Georgia Southern's playing good football right now. And JC French playing some good ball. Just eclipsed over 2,000 yards passing last week. And the quarterback for Coastal Carolina, 471 yards passing. Listen, if Georgia Southern can do anything, they can stop the run. They got to be able to stop the run this week. And they have the Chanticleers.
Nailed it.
It's a tough one. They have them right where they want them. So I like the Eagles to get it done this week, minus 2.5 at home. Defend Paulson.
Okay.
It's a homer pick, but I think it's a good bet, honestly. I really do. My favorite this week is going to be my lock. I'm taking a team that just crept into the playoff. And when you see your name on that bracket, I think you're going to have a different level about you for the rest of the year. South Florida is going to take care of business for the rest of their schedule. I'm taking them to cover against Navy at minus 9.5 this week, and it is my lock. Look, once again, Alex Golesh, top level mind in college football. Byron Brown, if you have college football fantasy this year, he's probably like the second best player of the whole year behind Haynes King. It's him, Pavia, Byron Brown are the household names in college football fantasy. In terms of production, how they go off and running the ball, I think South Florida is going to be able to score a bunch of points because you got to boat race the Navy midshipmen. They're good in water.
All right, Sam, give us your favorite and your underdog.
All right, my favorite. I'm taking LSU minus 5.5 over Arkansas. This is a gross game. Y'all know this is a gross game. But LSU's got dudes still. If the season had gone the way they want it to, and this might be should have been 2 touchdown favorite in this game. I think it could get ugly. My underdog, and this is also going to be my lock. Many might say this is a pander pick for Caleb, but I'm going to take the Florida Gators. That's my lock.
You just gave me life for the rest of my week.
The Gators, for me, are like cigarettes. I just can't quit them. Anytime I see a plus sign next to the University of Florida, I get excited. I don't know why. They're terrible. But I would expect them to keep that game close.
Maybe it's going to be like an unofficial tryout for Lane Kiffin. This team, like the Florida Gators are going to be saying, hey, look at what we got over here in Gainesville. We're competing. We can do it. Now come be our coach. I can see it, Sam. I can see that.
You said 14.5, right?
Hey, these guys play football too,
They do.
All right. Florida plus 14.5. All right, Caleb, what you got? Caleb, and he said Florida, and the place just blew up. I mean,
it's a very tantalizing pick.
That gets the people going. Listen, if we go in there and go ahead and send Lane packing before the playoffs so he can take our job quicker, that's gonna be elite ball.
I love how Sam also took the 2 teams that just benched their quarterbacks last week too. It's
true that
strategy right there.
Back quarterback bump though, so I hear. My underdog this week, I had a change of heart. I was going with Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. They're plus 12 at home this week with game day in town, but I've had a change of heart. You convinced me. Gee. I'm going with another team in the shout out the SEC, our favorite conference, who plays everybody close, but has a terrible record. Mississippi State Bulldogs are traveling, I believe, to Missouri this week, and they're plus 7.5. I think they keep them close. I think Mississippi State is going to be able to throw the ball a little bit on Mizzou, just like the other teams that have had success to beat them this year will be able to do. If they can just stop them just a little bit on the ground, it'll be a close game.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. For my underdog, this will be my lock. I alluded to it earlier. I'm going to be going with the 19th ranked Virginia Cavaliers plus 4.5 to get it done in Durham against Duke. I don't understand the line. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Duke is 5-4, and they just lost to UConn. They just lost to UConn, and you're going to give Virginia 4.5 points. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Thank you, Vegas, for this handout. We'll take it to the bank. We're going to liquidate everything. We're going to take a second mortgage out on the house, and we're putting it all on the Cavs. We're putting it all on the Cavs this week, and we're going to have – you listen, they always say you're only one bet away from financial freedom. This is the bet. Vegas gave it to us. Let's take it.
Love this so much.
There we go. Sam's on board.
Virginia's going to make you rich?
Virginia is going to make me stupid rich.
Okay.
It's that responsibility. This is a unit and a half play.
Okay, my underdog this week is another game we talked about earlier. I'm going with the Iowa Hawkeyes plus 6.5. Look, it's going to be raining in Southern California, and they're in this game. Southern California, when is the last time they dealt with a physical football team well, okay? And I don't want to hear you people say, oh, well, they beat Michigan. Michigan's not as tough as Iowa, and I think we all know that, all right? So I'm going to go with Iowa. They've got a chance to play in a really sloppy game here. They have one of the best defenses in the country, and I think they're going to get to I don't think that USC is going to be able to run the ball as well as maybe they have, especially last week after Oregon did so well against Iowa. Iowa's definitely got a bad taste in their mouth. I think they keep it close within 6.5. My over is going to be Ohio State, UCLA, over 48.5. I think Ohio State could cover this one on their own. This is a night game in Columbus. You know, the spread's like 32.5. I don't know if you want to play around with that, but the over, I think Ohio State night games, they perform very well. Think about the Tennessee game. I think about the Minnesota game they played earlier this year. They play really well at home. I think they'll score at least 40 by themselves. And I think Nico's got about 2 touchdowns in him. So I'm going to be going with the over 48.5 there.
So for my over, I'm also going to take an over 48.5, but it's going to be the Texas-Georgia game. Listen, Georgia's defense been shaky all season. They have not looked great. I think Arch is going to be able to put the ball in the end zone a few times in this one. I do. I don't think Texas is going to win. I see Sam like shaking his head. I'm not sure if he's a Georgia fan. He's starting to think that I'm going against the.
He might just not like what Sully's doing on the TV screen right now.
That could also be what it is.
Yeah, they're it's a crucial scene. Sorry, guys.
I think, and I listen, and we've seen the last few weeks, Georgia's offense is playing, this best ball that we've seen. Look at that Mississippi, the Ole Miss game. Look, they're looking better. I think we're going to be able to see some points in this one. I think it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be an exciting one. I think it's going to be, over 48.5. I'm not going to get any score predictions, but I think it's going to be over 48.5.
All right, so my over this week is going to be a team that I picked as my favorite, I think, the last couple of weeks. I'm going to stick with Bama scoring points, and I think Oklahoma's got enough of their own, too. It's at 45.5. I thought that was a little low when I first saw that, to me. So, I mean, look, everybody talks about this OU defense. Again, they're good against the what? The run. What do you think Bama does all year? You think they've been running the ball?
Nope.
They ran it like 22 times for 55 yards like 2 weeks ago and blew somebody out.
They did that last week.
So they're going to throw the ball. Ty Simpson's going to get his. I think John Mateer gets a little bit of his own too. And, some people say that Oklahoma is going to be good for maybe one explosive run. I'm talking about like a 65, 70-yarder to kind of keep the points rolling. Now, I did say earlier, I think Bama wins by 2 scores. I just think that they're going to both be able to just light it up a little bit.
All right, Sam, over and under.
I'm rolling with Caleb. I'm taking the Bama, Oklahoma over 45.5. I think Ty Simpson, I don't think we're talking about Bama enough, guys. All right. I think Bama's might be the best team in the country. And when Ty Simpson's on, I feel like they can score with anybody. I don't know.
I think the one thing about saying that is I've said this before on the pod, and I think maybe more a couple weeks, about a month ago, I felt that way. But I feel like when they have to play a team against like Ohio State or Indiana, it's like if they could run the ball, if they could run for 150 yards a game, they would undoubtedly be the best team in the country. But they have that issue, and I think that's what holds them back just a bit. I'm
with you there. I'm with you. Maybe I look at Ty Simpson through rose-colored lenses, but that guy looks good in shorts, man.
He's got to be a first-round pick, right?
I think so. He's got to be a pro. I don't know. I don't know ball, but that guy looks good. My under, and this seems, you guys talked about this, Iowa USC 49.5. That's a ton of points. I mean, is that a rat line? Am I taking the bait?
No, I like it. I like it. It's supposed to rain the whole game.
I mean, I know USC, they can score, but anytime an Iowa game's in the 40s, I feel like you should take the under, right?
It has been a method that has worked before.
Listen, that thing's close to 50, dude. And you talking about taking bait. I'm eating cheese with you, brother. That is exactly what I got wrote down. I got it under 49.5. Iowa game getting to 50 points? No, unless they continue to snap it over the punter's head, which I don't think they're going to do that again this week. They're going to get their punts off this week. They're going to get some 3 and outs here and there.
Right. Punters can't score touchdowns, right?
Right.
Oh, I have some unfortunate news for y'all. I also have the Iowa USC under 49.5 in the rain. It's in the rain. It's Iowa. Also, I took the Iowa under last week. I took a page out of Garrison's book. I don't think I've ever taken the Iowa under on the pod, and it hit. Listen, I'm 10 games under 500. I got to get wins. This is like Iowa unders seem like the most surefire way to get wins. So, yeah, I also have the Iowa under.
That's a good one. Well, I also do not have that, but that was fun. If you were listening back 2 years ago when I took the Iowa under as my lock like 5 straight weeks in a row and it hit every single time, man, just
and there were some gross lines too, like 34.
Dude, there was one that was like 26.5 and it hit, dude. It was insane. Okay, my under this week is going to be a Big Ten game though. It's going to be the CBS game of the week: Penn State, Michigan State, under 48.5. These two teams just suck, and that's really what I'm basing it off of here. Can you believe that Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson have to call this game? A 3-6 team playing a 3-6 team when there's Iowa and USC playing at the exact same time, but it's on Big Ten Network. Just an all-time fold of the television network stuff, but I just think Penn State's got a good defense for when they're playing Michigan State. Michigan State just had a bunch of wins vacated today. I don't know if you guys saw that. Basically, Jonathan Smith now has no wins in the Big Ten, counted since he's been there because Mel Tucker was cheating and there were some players that were ineligible to play. So it's just going to be a rough week. I think Penn State might win that game, but I'm definitely taking the under 48.5. And then my deep shot, I'm going to go with West Virginia plus 340. They're taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils, who are without Sam Levitt for the rest of the year. West Virginia been a little hot. Won their last 2 games.
Love that. Don't you think the team knows Dillingham's out after this year?
Oh, dude.
It in?
I mean, I think Arizona State just by themselves they've kind of thrown in the towel. And Dillingham, it's going to be hard to keep winning with Jeff Sims. That's my concept of it. And when you got a team playing as hot as West Virginia, beat Houston, beat Colorado last week, they got to win out to go to a bowl. I like the value here. So I'm going to go West Virginia plus 340.
Yeah, this is another value pick. And I'll just tell you this, guys. I really wanted to take Clemson money line to beat Louisville. It's plus 115. And I just couldn't do it. But I really wanted that to be my pick. But I was like, I can't do that. It's against the rules. I'm going to go with Virginia Tech Hokies plus 425 this week against Florida State. Does Virginia Tech stink out loud? They absolutely do. They absolutely do. But Florida State.
Think that too.
Well, here's another conflict here. There's a Florida State fan in the call right now.
No. Oh, no, Sam. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'm sorry.
Don't broadcast it.
But they just looked really bad last week against Clemson, and they just have looked bad. I mean, there's no sugarcoating here. They've looked bad. They've been losing, like it's their job for the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lost 5 of their last 6. Give me Virginia Tech. I mean, they have some players. I know they're not a great team, but you're going to give me 425 on that. It's worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
I saw it at 450.
There's definitely a lot of big money line bets that have hit against Florida State this year, for sure.
For sure. I mean, I do see it here at 450 on the ESPN Sportsbooks.
There it is.
Didn't one of y'all predict the Virginia upset over Florida State, or what was an upset at the time?
I don't think so. I think we all were still drinking the Kool-Aid.
It was my lock of the week that week, Sam. In fact, Florida State money line that week.
You're so sharp, man.
Florida State money line lock of the week. Oh man. Okay, Caleb.
Sam, I love you, dude, but this is my deep shot as well. Virginia Tech plus 450 at Florida State. I listen. I'm trying to do you a favor, okay? There have already been murmurs that Mike Norvell was supposed to be fired last week, and he didn't. He beat the case for another week. He's getting a free paycheck. They're making him just log his hours. It's like a 2-week notice, So we're trying to speed that process up a little bit and send him on some vacation sick leave time after Saturday night. If they lose to Virginia Tech at home, he's a dead man walking. He's fired. And you get a fresh coach, dude. You get the brand new guy. Maybe Gus is your head coach.
I wouldn't mind that.
Jimbo
Yeah,
Fisher?
No, he's dead to me. Dead to me.
Okay, what you
Yeah.
think?
I like
Go ahead.
I like the Virginia Tech pick though, guys. Florida State's been extremely beatable this year, obviously. So is it my turn now?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
All right. Again, y'all are gonna hate this pick. But I'm taking the Florida Gators money line to Ole Miss. Listen, I don't know if they'll win or not, but I promise you this will be a close game going into the fourth quarter. I don't think Ole Miss is as good as we give them credit for. Their defense is not very good. Okay? When you don't have a good defense, anything can happen. So I'd be keeping an eye on this game if I were y'all. But Florida plus 450.
Florida. Oh, dude, fucking DJ Lagway. You're right. Well, Ole Miss doesn't have.
No, it's going to be Tramel Jones.
Yeah, I forgot. I mean, it's the rest of your team. Did they still quit? I mean, I remember the injury report last week had like the whole team on it.
Yeah, how many guys are in the portal already too?
Zero.
Really?
What's the injury report look like?
The injury report looks like the portal's been wide open, though. I mean, there's like 25, 30 guys on there. But it's been like that since we played Miami.
Oh, man. Okay.
They've been banged up all year, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they got banged up to South Florida, and then they all just stopped trying. Okay. All right, let's get into our NFL best bets and get out of here. First, I'm going to be going with the game I said earlier. I thought the wrong team was favored. I'm going to go with Lions money line against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm seeing it at plus 125. Yeah, I mean, I already went over it earlier. I think the Lions are better than the Eagles. Eagles scored fucking 10 points the other night on the Packers, and these tush pushes, man, they're just getting out of control. I mean, how hard is it to just – they need – it's obviously going to be banned, but they should have a rule in the NFL just for the rest of the season that if they run that play, they can review it for false start.
I mean, they jumped off sides like
agree.
4 times the other night.
And then they call it on Green Bay when they try to do it. It's complete bullshit. It's complete bullcrap. For my first best bet, I'm gonna be going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 5.5. I think they're going to get it done. I think they're going to beat Buffalo. I think Tampa Bay's good. I think Buffalo might be a tad bit fraudulent. So give me the Bucs plus 5.5.
Bucs fan, you got any comment on that pick right there?
Well, I do. If you want me to get into my first best bet, I've got the opposite side of that. The Bills minus 5.5. Coming off an ass beating in Miami. I think the Bucs are good. Don't get me wrong. I think they're good. I think they played really well the first 8 games of the year, and I think they're going to be a playoff team. But I think the Bills haven't quite put a game together yet, and I think they're going to roll. Bucs still injured a little bit too, so I think the Bills win by 10.
How about that? All right, Caleb, give us 2.
All right. Thursday nighter, birthday game. Patriots Jets minus 13.5. Got to have a dub here. Got to have a big dub. Huge number. Don't give a hot damn. Best team in football. Playing on a short week. You think the Jets can handle that? Nah, we'll be fine. A lot of players for New England are out. Ramondre Stevenson's not going to play. Keyshawn Butte's not going to play, but we'll be fine. We didn't have most of those guys last game either. Travion Henderson's the dude anyways. Big number there. The other game, bet on another bad team that's got an interim coach this week. The Green Bay Packers are taking on the New York Giants. Don't have a clue why this game's under a touchdown line. Even if it's an NFL game, don't care if it's home or away, whatever. Green Bay is minus 6.5 against the Giants, who may or may not have Jackson Dart, may or may not have some of these other guys that are big producers on both sides of football for them. And their head coach is out for the year, in fact, I hear. So,
all right, Sam, give us one more of yours.
Both of these are in the Giants game, believe it or not. I'm with Caleb. This doesn't make any sense. I'm taking the Giants plus 7, but this is contingent on Jameis Winston starting. Okay, that's what I read. And then my other best bet is I just put whatever Jameis passing yards is, take the over. I think he might throw 4 interceptions, but I think we're looking at we're looking at an entertaining game in that one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, look how he said he's on Caleb's side and then went the other side.
If he's playing though, if Jameis plays,
Yeah, it's all contingent on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Great picks though. Like if Jameis Winston has an over number for Sunday and he's playing, you gotta hammer it.
Got to. I mean, he's always good for that one game.
That he is. So for my next best bet, I'm going to be taking a trip to Atlanta, Georgia. I can't quit them. I'm not betting on the Falcons. I'm taking Tyler Algier anytime touchdown plus 190. It's been hitting pretty good. Tyler Algier is playing really good football here recently, and they're kind of going back to the whole Arthur Smith thing where they let Bijan get down the field, and then whenever they're inside the 10, they just turn and hand the ball off to Tyler Algier. But I think plus 190 is awesome odds. I was looking at a couple other ones. Drake London, a score touchdown, is even at plus 100. Bijan, minus 165. That's gross. I'll tell you another one that I'd look at. It's not one of my best bets, but a little extra for the listeners. I think I'd take Michael Penix. One anytime touchdown, like one rushing touchdown, plus 800.
That's juice.
And how many touchdowns are you thinking y'all are going to score? You just threw out like that's 35 points. I just heard.
No, I'm just saying I don't want to take those, but I think the Algier one is like realistic, and the Penix is pretty awesome odds for a guy that has had rushing touchdowns in the past. Like we've seen it multiple times. Plus 800.
Yeah, against a team that last time we played and we didn't score a point.
We're gonna beat them.
Okay, my last two before we get out of here. 49ers minus 2.5 against the Cardinals. Cardinals are awful. 49ers coming off the rough loss to the Rams. I think they bounce back. And then the Seahawks Rams. I'm going to go with the under 48.5 there. I think, everyone's talking about how great a game this is going to be. It's going to be tight and sloppy. It's going to be one of those where I feel like everyone in the public's like, let's take the over. Let's go. These two of the best offenses. Seattle's sneakily one of the best defenses, and the Rams have a pretty solid one too. The Seattle defense got 30 fantasy points last week. So I think this will be a tight division game. I'm going to go with the under 48.5 here. And then Jake and Caleb, just your last ones, finish us out.
We'll finish it out right here. I'm going to be going with the Chicago Bears money line plus 145 on the road at Minnesota this week. I think we're seeing two teams in opposite directions. I think we are seeing the ascension of the Chicago Bears, and we're finally seeing Caleb Williams play at the level that we all knew that Caleb Williams was capable of. Obviously the Ben Johnson hire, starting to see that pay dividends. We're starting to see the run game. We're really looking good for Chicago. They have two really good backs, DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, I think, both completely different backs, kind of the Walmart version of the backfield that we have in Detroit. Look, able to get it done, and I'm not scared of 9 over there in Minnesota. Not scared about him in the slightest.
You don't like 9, dude?
I do not like 9. I think he's terrible.
You know, like his meditation?
I think he's a cheese ball, and he sucks. Caleb?
I guess I'll do my own investigations.
You like him? You like JJ? I
don't think Minnesota quarterback. Who is it actually? I don't know. I don't think I've liked a Minnesota quarterback since Josh Dobbs.
It could be true.
Astronaut.
My last pick's going to be a team that I talked about earlier. I think they're a home dog. They're going to run a little faster. Denver Broncos plus 3.5 against the Chiefs this week. I got a gut feel about this thing. I think the Chiefs, the Broncos have been taking it from the big brother in the division, in the Chiefs, for years now. And they get them at home when they're 8-2. And they could pretty much somewhat put the Chiefs under. I mean, not under for the, to make a wild card or something like that, but the AFC strong. There's going to be, you're going to have a pretty decent record to get in on that side of the conference. I just feel like they're going to do all they can. You're going to hear names like Nick Bonito are going to come across your screen a lot for games like this, and you're going to hear that name a lot. He's going to show up, make plays, and scare Patrick Mahomes a little bit that day, and just turnover or two. Good defense, man. It always plays well at the end of the year.
And this will give them a 3-game lead in the West.
Yeah,
so massive, and they're running from the Chargers too. Talking about the Chiefs.
Yeah. Chargers are 1 game behind. But the Chiefs are 2.5 games behind. And the Chiefs are really gonna be talking 7 seed at best. If they're getting at 5-5. I mean, it's gonna be something. Okay, I believe that is all of our picks. So just want to shout out Sam for joining us last minute edition there. So we appreciate you coming on, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate what y'all do.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question before we sign off?
Sure.
So, Sam, the email got sent through, and it's your name and then golf is your email address.
Yes.
So, I'm assuming you've played some rounds with old Caleb Spear here. Tell me how those go. Tell me how those go. Do you beat them? Does Caleb beat you? All right, what's it looking like? What would you put the handicap at?
I've taught Caleb literally everything that he knows. Literally everything.
Man, really?
Yep. No, we usually
Caleb?
drink a lot of beer in those rounds, though.
Absolutely. Couple
I would-
Stokes here and there. Don't tell your kids.
Dude, I went and played golf yesterday. Shout out my company for giving me Veterans Day off. So I went and played at like 10:30 Fox Creek.
Hey, shout out that
could have
place.
seen the 30-foot putt that I nailed yesterday.
Okay, great.
I mean, I was so dialed yesterday. Anyway, that'll wrap up episode 28. Shout out, happy birthday, Caleb, as you're hearing this.
Happy
Birthday. Maybe
How old are you, Caleb?
Too old. 27, like Mike Trout, dogs. Mike Trout year. We're getting up
Nice.
there.
Nice.
All
You don't
right.
look-
All right. Well, for Jake, Caleb, and Sam, appreciate you guys listening. Deep Shot out.